Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala Linguistics. I am Ajay Sarvaiya, Assistant Professor in the Department of Linguistics, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda. Today we will deal with the module Cognitive Semantics Polysemy from the paper Language Studies. The module consists of 4 sections. The first section deals with introduction. The second section deals with polysemy. The third section deals with a case study, and the fourth section provides summary. 1. Introduction. Polysemy refers to a words having more than one related senses. Polysemy appears to be a norm rather than an exception in language. Most lexical items across lexical categories are polysemous to a greater or lesser extent. A polysemous word refers to a phonological form with a number of more or less distinct but related meanings, which cluster in a family resemblance category. Polysemy is also understood as a variation in the construal of a word on different occasions of use. In a dictionary, polysemic senses are listed under a single main heading and are treated as different meanings or senses of the same word. The senses of a word are related to one another more or less closely by various means, one of which is conceptual metaphor. Wittgenstein, as we saw in the previous module, while discussing different senses of the category game, observes that there is no fixed boundary to a category, and that a category is structured in terms of family resemblances. Austin discusses the different senses of the adjective healthy and calls its central or prototypical sense a primary nucleus sense. Coleman and Kay analyze different senses of the word lie in terms of the prototype theory. A prototype is a typical member, an exemplar of a category to which other members are related. In other words, it is a central or core member of a category, and others are peripheral members of the category. When applied to the senses of a word, one sense is prototypical, which is related to other senses through an image schematic structure and its metaphorical extensions. 2. Polysemy. Polysemy in general put aside with homonymy. Polysemy refers to the phenomenon where a lexical item is associated with more than one related meanings or senses. The examples and the following discussion in this section are based on Evans and Green. Consider the examples containing the English preposition over. Each of the instances of over in example 1 carries a slightly different sense, such as above, on the other side, and across. However, these senses are closely related, therefore over is polysemous. Homonymy, on the other hand, refers to two distinct words which are phonologically or graphically similar, and their senses are unrelated. For example, the form bank refers to two different words with unrelated senses: financial institution and side of a river. These two senses are unrelated both synchronically as well as diachronically. The word bank, meaning side of river, is related to the old Icelandic word for hill, whereas the word bank, meaning financial institution, was borrowed in English from Italian banca, meaning money changer's table. The formal approach considers polysemy a surface phenomenon. According to this approach, polysemy is epiphenomenal. It is derived from monosemy, that is, from a single relatively abstract meaning Other related senses are derived on the basis of context, speaker's intention, recognition of that intention by the hearer, and so on. Such a monosemy account is plausible for explaining senses like those in example 1, as all senses listed there are spatial in nature and therefore could be thought of as derived from a single abstract spatial sense, but over also exhibits non-spatial senses. Look at the example 2. The preposition over in the sentence 2 does not express a spatial sense. Jane is not located above him in space. Rather, it refers to a power relationship between two people. One way to analyze this problem is to treat over in examples 1 and 2 as two distinct words, that is, as homonyms. Another way to analyze the same is to maintain the monosemy position and to argue that a single abstract sense permits both the spatial or literal sense and the non-spatial or metaphorical sense, which is interpreted by applying pragmatic principles. The cognitive semantic position on polysemy rejects these lines of analysis in favor of a radical category model of polysemy. Lakoff argued that over is stored as a category of distinct but related polysemous senses and not a single abstract monosemous sense. Polysemy in this position is considered a conceptual phenomenon. Polysemy reveals conceptual organization of senses that are prototypical or central and non-prototypical or peripheral. A lexical item like over constitutes a conceptual category of distinct but related senses, and these senses constitute a single category consisting of central or peripheral cases. In other words, various senses of a word demonstrate prototypicality effects. For example, the above sense of over in example 1a would be regarded as a better example of over than the control sense in example 2 by most native speakers of English. Lee discusses polysemy in prepositions, verbs, nouns, adjectives, past tense and suffix such as able to establish how different related senses form a radial category. A radial category consists of a central member, in this case senses, and peripheral members or senses. These senses are related to each other through an exemplar or a set of attributes. 3. A case study. This section examines a verb bhariyo in Mewari, which is one of the major dialects of Rajasthani. Rajasthani is one of the prominent members of the Indo-Aryan language family, spoken in Rajasthan and other states of India. The different related senses of the verb, as explained below, constitute a conceptual category with prototypical and non-prototypical senses. The relation among these senses is explained through an image schema and its metaphorical extensions. An image schema is a cognitive structure which underlies metaphor. Image schemas emerge from our sensory and perceptual experiences as we interact with and move about in the world. They are dynamic patterns of an activity by which we organize our experience. These structures constantly operate in our perception and bodily movement. We use them to organize thought, language, and action. For example, in English, Rohan is in the classroom involves the image schema of a container. The classroom is an actual container. However, in the sentence Rohan is in love, love is metaphorically conceptualized as a container. Metaphor in cognitive semantics is treated as a conceptual structure. Metaphors involve not only ways of talking about phenomena, but also ways of thinking about them. Also, vast domains of our experience, understanding and action are metaphorically structured. Metaphors make it possible for us to understand one domain of experience in terms of another. One conceptual domain, usually concrete, physical and experiential, is mapped onto another conceptual domain, usually abstract, through metaphors. Let us consider different related senses of the verb bharyo. In the example 3, bharyo means to pour something in a container. The content is in liquid form. Both the container and the content are physical concrete objects. There is also an agent who performs this act. In the example 3, the container is the pot, whereas the content is water. In the examples 4 and 5, bharyo means to fill something in a container. The cylinder and the tire are containers, and the air and the gas are contents, respectively. The container may or may not be filled completely, and there is an agent who performs this act. In the examples 6 and 7, bharyo means to arrange something in a container. These sentences refer to filling something with something solid. In sentence 6, bharyo means to arrange books in the bag. The bag is the container and the books are the contents. This act is performed by an agent. In sentence 7, the plate is a container which is filled with food, the content. There is an agent who arranges the food in the plate. However, the container, that is the plate, is a flat container. It is not an enclosed object or space as seen in previous examples. In the above three senses, the container, the content and the agent form the image schema for the verb bharyo. Therefore, they are considered as the core senses for the category bharyo. In the example 8, bharyo means to store songs in one's mobile handset. That is, digital files of songs are copied from one gadget to another through Bluetooth, infrared, etc. The mobile is metaphorically conceptualized as the container in which the songs are metaphorically conceptualized as the content. In the example 9, bharyo conveys the sense that the object or container is occupied with people and one cannot enter it. Here the taxi is the container and the people inside it are the content, which is countable. However, there is no agent who fills these containers. The example 10 conveys that the clouds are collected or gathered in the sky. This gathering of clouds is a natural and not a human process which occurs when there is a change in the weather or it's about to rain. The sky is the container, whereas the clouds are the content of the container. The agent is not specified. The sky is not a typical container. It is metaphorically conceptualized as a container. The example 11 conveys that plenty of birds are gathered on the tree. The container is neither enclosed nor flat. The birds are the content of the container tree. However, it is not a conventional container. It is metaphorically conceptualized as a container. The agent is absent here. In the example 12, Burieux depicts the sense of being covered. The flat road is metaphorically conceptualized as a container and leaves are the content. It is a non-human activity. The agent is not specified. In the example 13, Burieux means to wear. Here the body or the part of the body on which gold is worn is metaphorically conceptualized as the container and gold is the content. The agent is the person herself. In the example 14, Burieux refers to paying rental in terms of money for the telephone services. Here, the office in which the payment is made is metaphorically conceptualized as the container and the money is the content. It is a human activity. There is an agent who performs the act. In the example 15, Burieux means to wind or turn the key. Here the clock and the toy are metaphorically conceptualized as the containers and the key is metaphorically conceptualized as the content. There is an agent who performs this act. In the example 16, Burieux means to absorb. In this sentence, the clothes are metaphorically conceptualized as the container, as they absorb the sweat, and the sweat is metaphorically conceptualized as the content. There is no agent who performs this activity. In the example 17, Burieux means to write or provide information. The form has to be filled in a particular way according to the space provided in the form. Here the flat paper is metaphorically conceptualized as the container and the writing or information in the form is metaphorically conceptualized as the content. It is a human activity. 4. Summary. The central meanings or the core members of the verbal category Burieux are senses 1 to pour, 2 to fill and 3 to arrange. As these senses involve the image schematic structure of a container, a content and an agent. The sense 4 to store has the metaphorically conceptualized container. In the senses 5 to occupy, 6 to gather and 7 to cover, the agent is absent. The senses 8 to wear, 9 to pay and 10 to wind involve metaphorical extensions. The senses 11 to absorb, 12 to write or provide information have a flat container. It is not a typical enclosed space. The flat structure is metaphorically conceptualized as a container. It can be concluded that the category is characterized by Wittgenstein's notion of family resemblance, as some members possess some attributes while others some other. It explains that the different related senses of the verb Burieux form a prototypical category which consists of central and peripheral members. The classical or formal model of category with its necessary and sufficient conditions or features and with its strong and fixed boundary would be unable to put together all these senses under one category, whereas the notion of radiality or prototypicality explains how these senses are related. All these different senses are considered polysemous, that is, related in meaning, because the image schematic structure, that of a container, a content, and an agent pervades through all the senses. That also explains central senses where this image schema is fully mapped to concrete and physical domains, and peripheral senses where it is partially mapped or metaphorically mapped to abstract and mental domains. This is where we end the module. I look forward to meeting you for the next lecture.